Okay, take six of me trying to record my video today. What's up? It's your girl Kia, and I'm back for another review slash reaction. This is definitely going to be a reaction video to the Aaron Hernandez documentary, Killer Inside. I have tried to record this video 6 times. For those of you who have been watching my channel for a while, I don't do reaction videos. I don't just watch the video straight through and then regurgitate back what I saw. I can't do that. I've tried that, and it's just sounds like me talking monolithically. That's not the right word for that, but monotonely for a good 30 minutes. And no one wants to listen to that. And that's not why people watch my channel or like my reviews. So this is just going to be a reaction video. I'm going to go through a couple of key points and let you know my thoughts. If you haven't watched the documentary, it is on Netflix. It is 3 parts. Each part is about an hour long. I would definitely recommend it. It's a really well done documentary, but if you're looking for it to be in chronological order, it is not. They start off with the Odin Lloyd murders, him getting arrested, and they flash back to a little bit of his childhood. They push forward again to the murders. They flash back to him in college, and it kind of bounces back and forth throughout the entire video, throughout the entire documentary. Listen up a little bit. I recommend it. Like I said, I think it's a great documentary. So let's start off with the main thing. Let's get the petty out of the way. Aaron Hernandez was fine. Like, I'm sorry. I know he's a murderer and he killed possibly 3 people, definitely 1 person, but he was fine. There's no way around that. The boy was sexy. Everybody on Twitter is talking about that, and I know we shouldn't say those type of things, but he's hot. So that's my first thing. So next thing. Everybody always thought that Aaron grew up in some weird, hardcore neighborhood, you know, the back alleys of Boston, New York somewhere, the Bronx. You know, he's growing up in, you know, the Poke and Beans in Miami, and that's not the case. He grew up in Bristol, Connecticut, which is a very normal, anywhere city in the United States. He had a regular by regular, I mean, he had a 2-parent household, an older brother who was playing football in UConn, a father who was very involved. It was all very picturesque on the outside. Inside, Aaron's father was, though, you know, the star of the football team back in his day and went to UConn like his brother did. His father was a drinker and was a little bit of a machismo wild guy. His dad was very, very homophobic, like a lot of the fathers back in those days. That I know to a lot of people who are under the age of 25, it might be weird to hear, but back in those days, the F word was a commonly used word among people. Being gay was accepted in certain situations, but not in all situations. No parent wanted their child to be gay. I know that sounds crazy to a lot of you, but that's how it was back in the day. No parent wanted their kid to be gay. They would have rather their kid died than be gay. So he had to deal with that. It is later revealed that he was actually sexually abused by an older kid. It was his babysitter's boyfriend that came over. Him and his brother were playing hide and seek, and the brother went to go hide, and no one ever came to find him. And then he found out later the reason why nobody came to find him was because his brother was being abused by the person who was playing hide and seek with them. I've always heard that sexual abusers, male sexual abusers, when they abuse boys, they always have a sense about the boy. It's not that the boy has done anything or said anything. It's like some weird pedophile sense that they get to know to attack certain kids, whether it's that they're gay, whether it's that they're weak, whether it's that they're being abused at home. It's never really known, but it's some kind of weakness they can tap into. We've seen the same thing. We see the same thing on the straight side with when guys abuse when pedophiles abuse little girls. It's always something they can tell. We see that in the R. Kelly documentary. So it's almost like that person who abused Aaron kind of knew there was something and knew that he could abuse him and that it would never be kind of found out or discovered. Aaron's father died when he was 16, and he died of a very sudden death. It wasn't his dad. Car accidents are sudden enough, but it wasn't a car accident. Your father being shot in an armed robbery, sudden enough. But your father going in for regular routine groin surgery that I don't even think is more than an overnight stay in the hospital. He goes into surgery and never wakes up. It is a sudden traumatic loss for not only his family, but for the entire neighborhood. Huge funeral, but they're kind of saying that's the turning point in Aaron's life. Do I think it's a turning point? Absolutely. When a child loses a parent, we have all seen this, especially when they lose a parent at a young age, it warps that child's mindset about certain things. And maybe warp is a bad word, but changes the mindset. I would never wish that any child lost their parent but especially not losing their parent between the ages of, let's say, 10 and 18. Those formative years are key to having a parent. When you're 10 and under, you lose a parent, it doesn't harm you as much. Like, you miss that parent. Oh, it's so sad. I miss my mom and dad. But that parent hadn't started becoming a part of who you want to become as an adult. That parent is not that blueprint yet. And when you're older than 18 or 21, yeah, it hurts, but you're already forming who you are as your own person. You're already who you are. And that, again, that's just my opinion. You can drop down in the comments and disagree. Losing a parent is hard, but during the formative years, it's definitely harder. He was a shoo-in at UConn. But after his father's death, he decided to go to the University of Florida, which was the #1 school at the time. I actually live in Florida, and Florida is a football state. High school football, college football, professional football. We are football country. We actually have 3 major programs here. Florida State University, UF, and UN are, of course, all Florida. We have major professional teams here, but we're on Sundays in Florida. Saturdays in Florida are all about college football. I think he didn't end up going to UConn, where he was a shoo-in at, and going to UF is because he didn't know who he was. Your father is gone, so you can't, following his footsteps seems weird to you because he's not here anymore to kind of guide you, and you want to try to become your own person. You don't want to go to UConn maybe because then everybody's going to remind you of your dad. Your brother is there. I get why he decided, I just need to get as far away from everything as possible. I also think he wanted to get away from his mother. Him and his mother had a really crappy relationship. When his father died, and I'm laughing because the amount of callousness it takes to do what his mother did is astonishing. When your husband dies, every woman has a period of mourning. And some of them react in different ways. I know women who have lost husbands and have acted out sexually. They have started drinking wine heavily, or they become super focused on one thing, or become super focused on being a mom. No one handles it well when you lose a spouse. But instead of just acting out sexually with random people, she actually had an affair with her cousin's husband, her cousin Tanya's husband. And that man actually ended up moving into their home where Aaron was living. To me, that is disgusting. And it was not even that this happened a year after his father died. I think they said it was maybe a month after. And it's one thing to have an affair because you're mourning, you make a mistake, but to move that man in, and I think that man is still with her to this day. And Aaron has always resented his mom for that. And I think any child would. I think any child would be like, really, bitch? Like, you're gonna not only not mourn my father's death, you're gonna get with another man, and then his cousin Tanya's husband. So now you've broken up the family. What is wrong with you? So his anger about that is valid. I think it's valid. But was going to University of Florida the best thing for him? I don't know. But that's another question a lot. That's why they bring up him going to University of Florida being such an abrupt choice. If he would have gone to UConn and maybe had his brother there to guide him a little bit closer, because his brother can't go to UF, maybe it would have been easier. Maybe he would have stayed out of trouble. But he ended up going to UF. And at UF, when you get to college, and he went to college early. He left a semester early from college, but I didn't realize this. Left a semester early from high school to go to college so that he could get started with training with the team. So he was there on campus at 17. Imagine having complete freedom as a 17-year-old in a college town where everything is given to you because you're a football player. If you have never gone to a school where the football program is big, or the basketball program is big, they do anything for these kids, anything. Liquor, girls, freedom, cars, money. It is all given to them, especially at UF. UF is the swamp. Like, I've been to UF before. I have gone to a club called the Swamp. It is a college town, but he starts getting in trouble. He gets in a bar fight, shooting into cars, using drugs, and just acting out like a lot of us did in college. But he is acting out in a more aggressive, machismo way. I don't want to talk about that part yet. Let's talk about there's so much to talk about in the doc, and there's a lot of fluff that they put in that really isn't pertinent to the story. But it's hard to talk about it in the chronological order because it is so much. But the one thing that I do want to say before we move on to the murders is that he was told that he needed to leave school junior year. Like Urban Meyer, who was his coach at the time, really kept a close eye on him because they saw the potential, but they also saw the problems. And every time he would go back to Bristol, there would be an issue. And it got to the point where Urban Meyer was just like, yo, he doesn't need to go back home. If we can keep him in Florida and keep him in UF, we can keep him as safe as possible. And of course, he was going back to Bristol on a regular basis. His junior year, Urban Meyer suggests that he enters the NFL. It's not established why Urban Meyer said that. I don't know what the point was to leave. He could have waited till his senior year. The draft wasn't going anywhere. He could have had a longer time to build up his stats. I don't know if the schoolwork was just not going to graduate him anyway, because that's another question that I had, is that he had CTE. How was he doing in school? And when I know it wasn't established yet that he had CTE, but he had been playing football since he was about 13, 14. He is now 17, or by this time, I think he was 19. So from 12 to 19, you're getting knocked around on a regular basis. That can't be good on your brain. So how is he doing in school? But it's never really established. It just said he needed to enter the draft. Everybody, for some stupid reason, thought he was going to go a first round. Aaron was good, but Aaron wasn't first round good in my opinion. But he did go the fourth round, and he went to the Patriots, which puts him back near his hometown of Bristol. Which to me was already a poor sign, because it's one thing where, you know, like the person said in the documentary, where you're in San Francisco at the 49ers, or you're somewhere far away. Look my chair up. You're somewhere far away where where your old vices can't get to you, to now you're only a 2-hour drive away. So that him going to the Patriots is a bigger question to me than him going to UF. Because now he's not some high school kid that can be watched on by his brother. He's now a grown man, where you really can't tell him anything. And now we're going to give him millions of dollars and expect him to be this perfect angel. Not going to happen. Let's see. I'm not going to talk about this yet. The murders. So the first murder was of these two gentlemen who were both immigrants from Cape Verde, which is off the coast of South Africa. They met him in a club, and I guess very simple slight. They're all dancing because it's close space in the dance floor. They spilled a drink on him a little bit. They say he got angry. They end up leaving the club, follow behind the two guys, and shooting into the vehicle, killing them both. And it was him and another guy named Alexander Bradley. Alexander Bradley was a drug kingpin. I don't really even know what that means. It was never established how he was a drug kingpin, but he had multiple arrests, and he was also providing weed for Aaron, and they became friends and started hanging out together. And it's never been established who actually shot these guys. They don't know if it was Aaron. They don't know if it was Alexander Bradley, but they were in the vehicle together. After the murder was committed, the guys hid their car inside of Tanya Bradley's house. Tanya Bradley is the wife of the person that Aaron's mom, Terry, slept with, the affair. So that was Tanya's husband. Tanya was also dealing with breast cancer. At this point, she was just dealing with it. She was going through chemo and everything, and she became Aaron's closest confidant. So she ended up hiding the vehicle in her car. That's murder number one. Aaron now completes an entire season of the NFL with after a murder was committed. It's one thing to, let me rephrase that. He committed the murder, which is already crazy enough, but to be so compartmentalized, be able to go through a whole season of football and not have that bother you, whether he was the shooter or the passenger in it, he was there. It has been established that he was there in some kind of capacity. For you to be okay with seeing these two people die, then hiding a vehicle in your cousin's garage and not let it be a second thought, that is astonishing to me. Yes, he got paranoid that he was scared it was going to come out. He wanted to switch teams. The team actually got him a separate apartment to keep for his safety. He started carrying a gun for his safety because he was scared that Alexander Bradley was going to either come after him or rat him out. He actually ended up getting in a car with Alexander. I think they were back in Boston or something or somewhere, and they were driving around, and according to Alexander, Aaron shot him in the eye and left him for dead. And what happens is during that case, they can't pin it on either guy. So Aaron ends up getting acquitted of that double murder because you don't know who did what. Do we know both of them were in the car? Yeah. But do we know who shot them? No. In most states, if you were even in the car and you didn't tell anybody and you're hiding evidence, that still gives you jail time. But he was acquitted of those two murders, to the devastation of his family. So after that murder, the next murder comes up of Odin Lloyd. And Odin Lloyd was the boyfriend to Aaron Hernandez's girlfriend's sister. So they were all intertwined together. He played not even, I guess, junior league, adult football. Like you had to pay to be in the league. It was football, like adult little league is the best way I can describe it. I can't even call it semi-pro because it's not. I can't call it professional. It was a community league of people playing football, whatever. And he really did want to do something with himself. He was a good guy. And I love how the documentary talks about the victims and how they wanted better lives. And they weren't just thugs in the neighborhood doing stupid stuff. They weren't jerks. They weren't people who had long records. These were all hardworking men who just came across Aaron at the wrong point in time and ended up losing their lives because of it. They lure Odin Lloyd into the car, take him to an industrial park, and shoot him 6 times. He's shot twice in the head, 3 in the spine, and I think 2 in the clavicle, or 1 in the clavicle or something. But he's murdered at the industrial park. It is never really established why he was murdered. Even in the documentary, I went back and watched it a couple times. All it said is that Aaron didn't like that Odin was talking to certain people. What the hell does that mean? Talking to certain people about what? Were these enemies of Aaron's? Like, it never really was established. And I even Googled, like, can we get a real reason why this happened? And it's never established why Odin Lloyd was killed, which to me makes it even more senseless, especially being that could have been your future brother-in-law. You murdered this man for no reason. The one thing in the movie in the documentary that they said that to me and my husband, we both looked at it like, no, that's not it. When Odin, they kept saying that Odin felt uncomfortable. So Odin texted his sister to say, "Do you know who I'm with right now? NFL, just so you know." That to me wasn't a text of fear. That was a text of bragging. That's the text that I would have sent if I was with Beyonce. Like, "Do you know who I'm with right now? Queen B, just so you know." So I didn't think that was a fear. I think that was a brag that they were going to go somewhere. They keep saying that in the car, Odin felt uncomfortable. But again, that's never been established that he was uncomfortable. We don't know. It's very little spoken about Wallace and Ortiz, who helped him commit the murder. Once the murder is committed, they leave him for dead, and they also leave a ton of evidence there, which to me was crazy. You can memorize plays and audibles, but you didn't think that leaving all this evidence, you spit your gum out on the ground. It got attached to a shell case, and you guys didn't pick those up. Your fingerprints are everywhere inside the rental vehicle that you rented. You left bulletproof. It's not bulletproof. You left bullets inside of the rental vehicle that was in Aaron's name. Then you didn't erase any of the film that's around your house, because his entire house is filmed 24/7. But none of that filming, none of that video evidence was erased. It's all just there for the police to find. What's happening? I was so confused. Like, you are killing people. This is not Grand Theft Auto, like where you stop the game and everything's erased. This is a real murder that you committed, and he did nothing to hide it. It's out there. He even went so far as to have his girlfriend, once he was in prison, dispose of the weapon. And the fact that she didn't get jail time for that, I need somebody to drop down in the comments and explain that to me. She threw a gun away. Evidence in a crime, a murder. If that was anybody else, they would at least be getting 1 or 2 years for disposing of what is it? Assistance after the fact or something. But she disposed of a weapon, and nothing ever happened to her. Aaron in prison. I think it is odd that Aaron, who enjoyed freedom so much where he felt comfortable with committing murders, was so easily adjusted to prison life. A lot of people who go into prison are put under suicide watch their first 24 hours because it is a very jarring experience to go from freedom to basically captivity. And he adjusted to it very well. He called it cozy. He had a cell. He had 3 meals a day. He didn't have to worry about anything. And how that comes off to me is that he didn't have anybody that he had to worry about. He didn't have to be worried about other people. He didn't have to take care of anybody. No one was out to get him or hurt him inside of prison. He was protected. He had no stress. He's no longer under the rigorous eye of Coach Belichick. He is now just there. He can just exist and be himself. He had ample phone conversations with people. He talked to his assistant, talked to his girlfriend, talked to his baby, talked to his favorite cousin Tanya. He talked to everybody. And he for being someone in prison, there's no tears, there's no fear, there's no being scared. It was all very much like he's talking on the phone, like he's coming home tomorrow, or like he's away at sleepaway camp. That's how he was talking on those jailhouse conversations. He has a phone call with his mother, and it's like I thought it should have been. He's very angry with his mom and basically said, "You effed up my life." And she's just like, "Well, what do you want me to do about it?" That's how it came off to me. Your life is up and up. What do you want me to do about it? And even her on the phone wasn't very motherly. I think if my brother went to prison, my mom would probably be damn near in tears every time she called. And Terry's mom didn't come off like that. He even spoke to his agent who was talking about getting a Smith & Wesson deal. And again, to me, it's like he didn't care. Like, this being in prison wasn't a big deal. It was like one big joke. And this could be a part of the CTE, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, that he had no, the part that develops remorse just wasn't there anymore. I don't know, but he had no feelings about being in prison when most people would be losing their mind. More notes. Shania Jenkins, or Shania, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but actually chose Aaron over her own sister. I could never do that. Blood will always be thicker than water. But she sat up there and acted like her sister was some bitch from around the way. Like, oh, her? We've met in passing. Like, the way she would act if she was talking about another teammate's wife. Like, oh, yeah, we've been to games together. We've spoken once or twice. We've had coffee maybe once a year. I don't really talk to her like that. This is her sister. And they had been best friends up until the murder. She was seen comforting her sister on the cameras in the house. And to me, to turn your back on your sister for a man is pathetic. I'm sorry. I get you guys have a child together, but your obligation is to family. Your child and your sister, your mother, that's your obligation, not some man who, even by his own admission, was fucking around, partying, doing crazy things, put her in a messed up situation which she was mad about. You don't stick by that person. You stick by your sister. Even if you want to still call him and say, I support you, I don't want you to die or anything, but I need to support my family right now. My sister needs me. But she didn't. She chose Aaron, and the entire court proceedings, she was sat on the opposite side of her sister, and it was really, really painful to see. Tanya Singleton, his cousin, who was more like a mom to him and sister than him, is the only person who really stuck by him, probably more than Shania. She had the vehicle from the first double murder in her car, and it sat there for a long time untouched, had cobwebs on it, never been driven after the double murder happened. And she ended up dying of breast cancer once it metastasized, but she never, ever ratted him out when it gets to him. She loved him like he was her own. And when she died, it was very hard on him because he loved her. That was his confidant. She was loyal, so loyal that she was willing to help him. I think I said this already, help him hide, was trying to find out how to get everybody to a safe place to help commit the murders. Everybody who was involved, she was trying to get them out of New England to a different country, hide this here, do this. She was doing everything to protect Aaron, which is another reason why Aaron got convicted, because Tanya was so involved. And they could basically track everything back to her. Let's see. Enter the patron saint of murders, Jose Baez. If you don't know who Jose Baez is, he actually is a person who got Casey Anthony off when she murdered her daughter. We all know Casey Anthony murdered her child, but Jose Baez created enough reasonable doubt where the morons on that jury didn't believe it and let her off. But he did get Aaron acquitted of the double murder. And the reason why I feel like it's because it's not like Alexander Bradley was some angel. He had multiple convictions for multiple things, and it is never established who shot them. So it was easy for them to get off. If I was in that jury too, it'd be like, well, I have no idea who shot who. Do I think that Aaron should have gotten in trouble for hiding evidence, for not speaking up about the murders? He was in the car. Yeah, but it's never established about who did it. But Jose Baez, again, wins the day. And Jose actually didn't like this documentary at all. He thinks it's garbage and it's lies and this and that. I'm not sure how news footage is lies, but whatever. I'm not here nor there. I'm not sure how people's personal accounts is lies. Who knows? That's not my business. I'm just giving you guys my reaction. I am not a fan of Jose Baez. I think he's a scumbag, but defense lawyers are defense lawyers. They defend their clients to the best of their ability, and that's what they're paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to do. Okay. I'm actually going through a real list so I can make sure I get everything down. We've talked about everything. I'm saving kind of the best things for last, the things that kind of trended on Twitter, and we can talk about it now. Aaron Hernandez gay? And the answer is, I don't know if he was gay, but I think he was bisexual. He did have a prison lover, and he did have a so-called guy he was sleeping with in high school, the college quarterback who was gay. And do I think Aaron was ashamed of being gay? Absolutely. A lot of guys who are in the NFL, NBA, NHL, any professional sport who are gay don't want to come out because sports are masculine, and you can't be a masculine gay person playing a sport. That's never been heard of ever again, which is a bunch of BS, but that's what a lot of people think. And I think growing up in a football family where your dad is homophobic, a lot of the other fathers are homophobic, it scares you about coming out. I don't think a lot of people kept saying that him being gay was the main focal of the documentary. It wasn't the main focus of the documentary. It's just catches people so off guard, like, oh, he was gay, which to me is like him being gay was worse than him being a murderer. I thought it was very bizarre how everybody was acting on Twitter. Like, he killed a bunch of people. That's fine. He's a murderer. Whatever. He's gay. Oh my God. He's gay? Like, no. You got to defaming his character, and he's not here to defend himself. What? Murder, fine. Gay, bad? That doesn't make any sense, but that's how a lot of people are acting. And then him killing himself, a lot of people were saying that he killed himself because he was gay. I don't know if he killed himself because he was gay, because he was outed by some BS radio station in New England and killed himself 2 days later, or if he killed himself because of some weird clause that was on the Massachusetts law books about if you if you die while you're on appeal, your murder conviction or any conviction you have is basically vacated and you die an innocent person. I think he was under the assumption that if he died innocent, whether he was actually convicted by a jury of his peers, the NFL, the New England Patriots, would honor his $40 million contract and give it to his fiancee girlfriend, Shania. Which by the time, even if that's the case and they could have fought it, by the time litigation would have gotten done, the New England Patriots is a powerhouse machine of lawyers and a reputation to uphold. They would have never let that money be released, and it wouldn't have been worth it at the end of the day. But again, the CTE comes in where you're not thinking everything through at all. I don't know if who put that idea in his head, but that could have been another reason why he killed himself. That he thought, if I die, if I sacrifice myself, then my family will be taken care of, which is noble. It was stupid, but it was definitely noble. So the last thing I want to talk about is the CTE. His brain, once he committed suicide, Jose Baez talked to the family, and they were able to get Aaron's brain to do studies on it. And he was discovered to have one of the worst cases of CTE that they've ever seen. And this had a lot to do with his function as far as, being impulsive, as kind of having no remorse, as having no thought through process. It was all based on the CTE. I absolutely believe Aaron had CTE. You are talking about getting hit hard every Sunday or Friday night or Saturday, every weekend since you were 13. You are getting knocked around as a tight end. You are getting hit, and then they give you some Toradol to get back on. So now you're playing hurt, and you're getting back, and you're causing more and more damage on your body and on your mind. So I do think he had CTE. Did CTE cause him to do the murders? No. There are a lot of guys with CTE who don't commit murders like Aaron did. But I do think it was a factor. I think it was multiple things. You have CTE. You're trying to hide the fact that you're gay, so you're being overly masculine because you think that's hiding it. So you try to do more and more things to prove I'm a man. I ain't no punk. Ain't nobody gonna punk me. I'm this. I'm that. I'm strong. I'm not gay. I'm the all-American guy. And I think all of that compounded with the drug use, the Toradol use, which is a narcotic, the weed consumption, that all had a negative effect on his mind. And I feel like that is what caused him to kind of spiral out of control. And also the impulse control. When you're mad about something, when he was mad about something, he would rage, apparently. He would be so angry about the smallest slight, and you're just like, dude, it's not that big of a deal. No one cares. You got a drink spilled on you, it's not that big of a deal. Odin was talking to somebody you don't like. It don't mean you kill him. I mean, it's they're slights. So those are the key points from the documentary. I think it was done well. A lot of people don't like it. They're saying that he's not here to defend himself, but they're not making up anything. They are using accounts from actual news coverage and footage and real things from Urban Meyer, his experience on the Patriots, news story. They're using real information. Are they leaving out some stuff? Probably. Did the gay thing have, did his sexuality have a huge voice to play in it? It kind of did. Do we need to know about the high school QB he slept with? Not really. It doesn't really change a whole bunch, but at least I guess they were trying to establish that he had been having these feelings for a long time. And do I think if he would have been able to come out that he would have been helped? Or this none of this would have happened? Absolutely. But he would have had to give up everything he's known. Because again, we are very accepting of the LGBTQIA and the rest of those letters that they've added on right now community, but we're accepting of them in a certain way. It's fine for you to be gay and be an artist. It's fine for you to be gay and be an actor, be a model, be a businessman. It is not okay, apparently, still in the United States for men to be gay and be an athlete. The only sport I think men are okay with out with their sexuality might be tennis and might be swimming. All the other sports, rugby, soccer, baseball, football, basketball, they are not openly gay players. And again, like I said, he could have come out as gay in high school and he would have given up everything he's ever known, and he could have been, and honestly, this is going to sound really crappy, he probably would have killed himself sooner for different reasons. But those are my thoughts. Again, definitely watch it, check it out, make your own opinion, drop down in the comments, let me know what you thought. I'm ready to hear everybody else's comments. If you want to say I'm wrong, I'm willing to hear that, because this documentary was a lot to take in. So like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter at Kia Shakur. Find me on Instagram at I am Kia Giovanni, and let's get the conversation started. Have an amazing day.